The word holy is found 657 times in the Bible. In Exodus, the word is found 70 times. Instruction given about the keeping of the Passover involved a holy gathering, Exodus 12 and 16. There was the holy Sabbath to the Lord, Exodus 16 and 23. God considered the Hebrews a holy nation, Exodus 19 and 6. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it, what? Holy, Exodus 20 and 8. The priest had to wear holy garments, Exodus 28 and 2. Holy is found more than 220 times in the writings of Moses. It is also found 45 times in Psalms and 120 times in the books of prophecy. To study holiness, we need to first understand the word holy. Holiness in the New Testament is a discussion of the life of a Christian. Today, we'll discuss why we believe in holiness and how holiness applies to the life of the Christian. Before our study, let us listen and sing along the following songs of praise. Searching the Scriptures is brought to you by the Fairview Church of Christ. We believe that the Holy Bible is inspired by God and is the only way how He speaks to us today. In this great book, we are told how to be saved and live a holy life. It is our hope and prayer that you are encouraged to study with us at this time, open your hearts and minds to the great words of God, and follow them. Hello, and thank you for joining me for another episode of Searching the Scriptures, where we take the time to examine the most important book in our lives, the all-inspired Word of God. I'm Brandon Greaves, the preacher for the Fairview Church of Christ, located at 1765 Industrial Loop Road in Pulaski, Tennessee. It is really difficult to put into words how blessed we are. If we count our blessings, it will remind us how good life truly is. God breathed life into man and created in him a soul. Jesus emphasized how valuable our soul is when He asked, "For what is a man profited if he shall gain the whole world and lose his own soul? Or what shall a man give in exchange for his soul?" Matthew 16:26. Our existence proves God's existence. He created in us to have the ability to grow our minds to the point of reasoning. We can grow to a maturity where we are enabled to grasp the existence of God and His attributes. God is holy. In His Word, we are told to be holy because He is holy, 1 Peter 1:15 and 16. Is that even possible? Well, He wouldn't command us to do anything that would be impossible. So let's search the Scriptures. First, let's talk about the challenge of being holy. Sometimes we're afraid of the word holiness regarding human beings. It's because we generally do not understand the meaning. Being holy does not mean being perfect. If being holy means being perfect, then no one can be holy. Paul said, "For all have sinned and come short of the glory of God," Romans 3:23. We should aim for perfection, but realize we cannot fully attain perfection. Paul said, "Be perfect, be of good comfort, be of one mind, live in peace, and the God of love and peace shall be with you," 2 Corinthians 13:11. Be perfect? He's not referring to being sinless. He is saying to be perfected or complete. Being holy does not mean being perfect, but also being holy does not mean being better than someone else. Our opinion of ourselves should be lowered as we elevate the needs and thoughts of others above our own. There's no place for pride in the Christian. The Church of Christ has been accused by the religious world of being the best denomination or better than everyone else. While being unlearned in my years past, I've made those same accusations. But I've learned that the Church of Christ does not feel this way. In fact, we do not claim to be the best denomination. Why? Because the church is not a denomination. In fact, the Church of Christ is pre-denominational, meaning that Jesus established His church way before any denominations were developed. Surprising to most people, denominations are not found in God's Word. See, this accusation came from two possibilities. First, a misunderstanding of the Scriptures on the part of the teachers of the man-made churches. Or second, there's a possibility of our own brethren behaving in a haughty and prideful way. But being holy is not about being perfect or being better than others. Being holy also does not mean being totally separate from non-Christians. In the Garden of Gethsemane, Jesus said this, "I pray not that thou shouldest take them out of the world, but that thou shouldest keep them from the evil." John 17 and 15. Our mission is to try to rescue people from the grips and snares of Satan. Well, this cannot be done unless we associate with those people. It would be impossible to totally separate ourselves, 1 Corinthians 5, 9, and 10. To avoid contact with sin, we would literally have to leave this world. We have to live in this sinful world temporarily, but we don't have to condone sin. Being holy does not mean being perfect, being better than others, nor being totally separate from non-Christians. So, what does being holy mean? Being holy does mean putting God and His mission first in our lives. It means being set apart in His service. Sanctify means to set apart in God's service. Holiness and sanctification come from the same root Greek word. We are trying every day to be like God. But know this, holiness is possible and it's demanded. Paul said, "According as He hath chosen us in Him before the foundation of the world, that we should be," here it is, "holy and without blame before Him in love." Ephesians 1 and 4. God determined that He wanted a certain type of individual in His presence. Those who are holy and without blame and stand before Him in love. Those who obey the gospel from the heart are made holy. All guilt is removed from their souls and they serve Him in love. By this, we know that we love the children of God when we love God and keep His commandments. For this is the love of God, that we keep His commandments, and His commandments are not grievous. 1 John 5, 2 and 3. Each individual has a choice whether to obey God or to serve sin. The gospel gives that choice to you and to me. Paul said, "Is that He might present it to Himself a glorious church, not having spot or wrinkle or any such thing, but that it should be holy and without blemish." Ephesians 5 and 27. It is the Lord's will that the church be glorious, having no spot, no wrinkle. Sin stains the holiness of the church. No one who is tainted by sin will be allowed into heaven. Revelation 21 and 27. Being holy is a challenge, but it is possible. The more diligent we are staying away from things that can hinder our holiness, the easier it will be. Paul said, "And be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, that ye may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of God." Romans 12 and 2. Now let's talk about the outcome of being holy. Peter said, "Seeing then that all these things that shall be dissolved, what manner of persons ought ye to be in all holy conversation and godliness?" 2 Peter 3 and 11. The Greek term translated "what manner of persons" is literally "of what country," which emphasizes what Paul wrote in Philippians 3 and 20. "For our conversation is" where? "In heaven, from whence also we look for the Savior, the Lord Jesus Christ." Our kingdom or country is heaven. Christians are citizens of a kingdom that is not of this world. Christians are merely pilgrims, strangers, or sojourners here. Hebrews 11:13 and following. The verb in the phrase "ought ye to be" implies continuous being and might properly be translated "ought you to be founded." We are to be found constantly engaging in all holy living and godliness. The word conversation is translated lives in the American Standard. It is our behavior or the way we live, our holy conduct. Godliness is being devout. It's our piety or being like God. And there is a motivation to holiness. Notice, since all these things will be dissolved. Friends, this world will be gone one day, indicating that worldly things, worldly acts, behaviors, materials should take no priority of things that are eternal. The basis of our holiness, then, is our relationship to God. God has taken ordinary people and made them extraordinary. We are holy. We are saints. Why? Because of our relationship with God. The characteristic which makes a Christian holy is the separation from things that are unholy or profane. Let's read together 2 Corinthians chapter 6, verses 14 through chapter 7, verse 1. "Be ye not unequally yoked together with unbelievers. For what fellowship hath righteous with unrighteous? And what communion hath light with darkness? And what concord hath Christ with Belial? Or what part hath he that believeth with an infidel? And what agreement hath the temple of God with idols? For ye are the temple of the living God. As God hath said, I will dwell in them and walk in them, and I will be their God, and they shall be my people. Wherefore, come out from among them, and be ye separate, saith the Lord, and touch not the unclean thing, and I will receive you, and will be a father unto you, and ye shall be my sons and daughters, saith the Lord Almighty. Having therefore these promises, dearly beloved, let us cleanse ourselves from all filthiness of the flesh and spirit, perfecting holiness in the fear of God." Notice the differences between things holy and profane. Do not be unequally yoked together with unbelievers. That is to say, remain separate. And Paul gives a few examples. Light with darkness are always opposites. He compares Christ with Belial. Many scholars believe that Belial is another name for the devil. He compares the temple of God with idols. And we're told to flee from idolatry, 1 Corinthians 10 and 14. Paul exhorts, come out from among them and be separate. There is no union between holy and profane. And then he says, do not touch what is unclean. He is saying, Stay away from things that are impure or profane. Holiness is more than what we do not do or from what we separate ourselves. We can be holy in this day and age by being righteous. Being righteous is simply doing what God says to do. We have to be proactive in doing this. We can be holy by imitating Jesus, and that is our intention. We can be holy by meditating on God's Word, and we must be repetitive in order to hide His Word in our hearts. We can be holy by letting our light shine. By letting our light shine, we are passing to others on what it is like living for God. A person who is striving to be holy is certainly not perfect, but they do avoid things that might defile and seek to do the things associated with holiness. Paul is teaching the need for their being matched up only with others of like precious faith. If a believer is bound to an unbeliever, the believer will be potentially influenced by the unbeliever. Business and casual association with unbelievers is not being prohibited here. We're not to participate with the unbeliever in activities that are sinful. That's the outcome. Finally, let's discuss the development of holiness. How do we develop holiness? First, we must have a desire to be like God. A man who desires to be rich will do all he can to gain this world's goods. Paul said, "But they that will be rich fall into temptation and a snare, and into many foolish and hurtful lusts, which drown men in destruction and perdition. For the love of money is the root of all evil." 1 Timothy 6, 9 and 10. Those who desire to be like God will spend an equal amount of time developing characteristics like those possessed by our Heavenly Father. God is holy, and we must partake of His nature. Second, we must have an attitude of reverence and fear. Fear is the beginning of knowledge, Proverbs 1 and 7. The whole duty of man is to fear God and keep His commandments, Ecclesiastes 12 and 13. Third, we must have courage to be who we want to be. Some will recognize what they need and want to be, but they fear the opinions of men. Worrying about the opinion of others can be the greatest hindrance. Here's one example. Nevertheless, among the chief rulers also many believed on Him, but because of the Pharisees they did not confess Him, lest they should be put out of the synagogue. Why? For they loved the praise of men more than the praise of God. John 12, 42 and 43. Those chief rulers may have obtained the praise of men, but they lost their souls. How tragic. Jesus said, "Whosoever therefore shall confess me before men, him will I confess also before my Father which is in heaven. But whosoever shall deny me before men, him will I also deny before my Father which is in heaven." Matthew 10, 32 and 33. To be holy, we must trust in God and follow our convictions regardless of what men may think or do. Finally, we must have the conviction of the need for holiness. Follow peace with all men and holiness, without which no man shall see the Lord. Hebrews 12 and 14. Not only can we be holy, friends, we must be holy. We believe that holiness can be challenging, but it is not impossible. The outcome of being holy is a great life. We can certainly develop holiness. Man is a spiritual being which is more than flesh and blood. That spiritual being must be nourished. Holiness begins with an attitude, a desire. Do you desire to be holy today? Jesus said, if you love me, keep my commandments, John 14 and 15. If you love Him and are grateful for what He has done, then do what He says, because we're told that Jesus is the author of eternal salvation for everyone who obeys Him, Hebrews 5 and 9. When we read God's Word, we can know what to do in order to please Him. We're taught that obedient faith, which includes repentance, Acts 17:30, confession of Christ, Romans 10, 9 and 10, baptism for the forgiveness of sins, Acts 2:38 and 22 and 16, and continued faith unto the end, Revelation 2:10, will save us. Isn't it wonderful that we can know by reading this God-breathed book that we can become holy and maintain holiness? He loves and provides all that we need physically and spiritually. And we can know that if we've obeyed His commandments, we can have an eternal home with Him in eternity. Thank you once again for studying the truth of God's Word with me. May you go with God throughout the week, and may you forever be mindful of what is really important as you live day by day. I'm Brandon Greaves, the preacher for the Fairview Church of Christ in Pulaski, Tennessee. And I wish to invite you to study with me next time for another presentation of Searching the Scriptures. The members of the Fairview congregation desire to bring glory to God. We do this by living our lives to the best of our ability according to His Word, serving others who are in need, and spreading the gospel throughout the community and the world.